So far, for our time testing on the 450xc-f, I've spent most of it at the motocross track, and kind of some mixed results. I mean, man, it's a heck of a bike, and it's got a ton of potential. But I realized before I get it out and give it back that, I'm really a desert racer at heart. This is a bike with a lot of muscle and pretty purposeful, so I thought I'd better get out here in the desert and just really hammer out some time and see what this thing's like out in the open terrain, because I got a feeling it's going to be really good.
All right, here we go. Midweek out at Ocotillo Wells. Pretty nice out. Got the little helmet GoPro thing going. I'll show you a picture of how I do this. It's pretty Rube Goldberg actually, but it kind of works. It's a cool effect. So let's go play in a sand dune. Right up that and get down it. A little loose here. I got a couple of big rocks right in front of me. There we go.
All right, well, let's talk about our 450xc-f a little bit here. Been out riding, getting some miles in the desert. This thing's a lot of fun. And, it's tough because it leaves me with some questions. Unfortunately, one of the biggest questions is, am I a good enough rider? So far, our testing before today has been all on the track, and the bike's got a lot of power, got good suspension. It's light, it's powerful, and it feels like a very purposeful machine. Out here in the desert, well, today, that's where it really shined. For just chewing up big chunks of open ground, this thing's amazing. And one of the reasons is actually the suspension, which on the motocross track, I was still a little, back and forth about. But out here in the open terrain, what's really amazing about it is this bike feels very stiff. I mean, first of all, the whole motorcycle feels stiff. Chassis, the suspension, I mean, even down to like the bars. Once you get going in rough terrain, as soon as you're moving second gear faster, all of a sudden it becomes very plush feeling. And that was a real surprise to me, particularly the fork. It goes through a lot of trail junk just like it's not even there. And yet is still, doing drop off or G out. The thing's sprung plenty stiff. So that's really good. In fact, if I was riding regular like District 37, District 38, desert races, this would be the machine. I can't think of anything I could go faster in open terrain on. The other flip side of it is, I mean, this is still kind of just a motocross bike with an 18-inch wheel on it. So it's got a lot of power, and just, you know, small throttle inputs make a big difference. So it requires you to pay attention all the time. And it's not abrupt, it's not aggressive, it demands your focus. You have to give it its due. Unlike the 350s I've been riding, which really, they let you mentally kind of be lazy because the throttle's off or the throttle's wide open. Those are, you know, and nothing happens real fast on the 350. So this is very different. In fact, I considered racing this bike at the Takata Hare Scrambles last weekend, ended up riding the FE 350, and that was by far the best choice. This would have been just way too much motorcycle for me in those conditions. I think if I was racing this bike all the time, I would definitely put a Recluse clutch in it. One is to kind of help, you know, smooth out some of that on and off power. Again, not that it's terrible, but as soon as you get in technical conditions, that would just make it easier to ride. The second thing is actually the clutch pull on this is relatively stiff, and just in a couple hours of kind of riding some little sand washes and, you know, rocky canyons, I mean, I can feel it in my hand, and Recluse would definitely help for that. This is a great bike. I mean, it's got a ton of potential. I'm just scratching the surface on it. It's not a trail bike. It's, you know, it's not something I'd choose for that at all. I mean, this thing wants to race. It wants to go fast, and would probably be particularly good in the hands of a really aggressive rider. I don't really ride that aggressively. You know, I really concentrate on smoothness, but for a really skilled rider who likes to be aggressive, this bike is going to be very rewarding because it's so responsive. So that's kind of it. You know, I'm not quite sure I would choose this as my own bike. I've had the real fortune of being able to ride a very similar 2012 450xc-f that's been modified. It's got the suspension done, it's got exhaust, and it's got the European EXC map in it. And that bike actually gives up very little overall in power to this one. It's definitely got more flywheel weight, so it's a little smoother but slower accelerating. But I think that if I had to choose between the two, I would probably, for my own needs, go with a modified XCW versus the XCF. It's a much plusher ride. It will probably do a much wider range of everything from doing super gnarly trail, heck, even as a dual sport conversion. It's got that 6-speed, it's got the PDS, which PDS versus linkage, I mean, it's split right down the middle. Even on a given track, I can ride it on PDS bike and say it works great on this section, but the linkage bike works better over here. Again, going fast out in the desert, I do like the linkage. It works really well. Overall, for all the terrain I ride, probably still go with PDS. I do like this twin chamber fork. It's working really well. So that's kind of it. You know, it's hard to come up with a real decisive answer here, but I think modified 450xc-f would be my choice overall. But if you want to go fast, you want a bike that's got a lot of ponies under it, and this would be the one. So, all right, well, that's it for now. Checking out from Ocotillo Wells, and that's our wrap up on testing the 2013 KTM 450xc-f. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.